Hi, everyone. This is Jorge Carvajal. And today I have the pleasure of sharing this conference, How to Start a Business, with an international coach, Oliver Trapp. Oliver, welcome. Please tell us about your career trajectory.
Very good. Thank you for inviting me. It's a topic that's very dear to my heart. I've been coaching leaders, about 2,000 leaders from all over the world for the years, and I have helped them starting their business, improving their business. But when I read the topic, I thought also about myself, about the challenge of entrepreneurship. Thought back and thought, like, how many businesses did I start myself? And I actually that I started. I started them in Japan, in Puerto Rico, in the United States, in sectors as diverse as advertising, telecommunication. But when I looked at them, I saw like they never had any revenue or much cost. And I had 3 of those companies took an insane amount of work and complexity to turn. However, 2 of those end of all the profits, and they still do, and they're a pleasure. On that, I basically thought that, well, certain reasons why companies failed. And now I'm going to show you a slide.
Okay, Oliver, perfect. So let us get started.
The reasons why companies failed are based on decisions that were taken. Companies failed are not what happened after the business started, but what happened before. So there are some myths that have to do with entrepreneurship and starting a business. Any business successful through hard work and enthusiasm. And I learned in my own life and working with a lot of different leaders that that's not really true. Business in the wrong place or the right business in the wrong place, you can work as hard as you want. There's a certain level on how far you can get. If you take all your money and you start like in a restaurant in a location where you don't, or with disposable income, you can work as hard as you want. It will be very hard for you to make a profit. I had at one point a school, right? And I had other people that were also make the right market research and started putting their school in locations where parents weren't able. For that reason, those schools went bankrupt. Why? Because they didn't do their market research before they even started the business. The reason why was the deficient decision-making, investigation, research before the business even started. So it doesn't matter if you didn't do your homework before you start. So that's the one. It doesn't matter how hard you work. You have to do 4. The second one is the myth that starting a business, it's often too easy. What does that mean? Well, it means that you can save money your whole life and you have your dream. And when the moment comes, you jump on the first opportunity without doing your homework, without doing your research. And you lock yourself into a business enterprise, but it's the wrong one. So starting the business was, you rented a place, you bought all the equipment, you hired people, but you did consequence for the rest of your life or for the rest of a long time, you're just playing catch up. You didn't do business. Really depends of what you do before you start. So that's the second myth. Starting a business is difficult. Anybody can start a business, but they often fail. The third myth is that it's not true either. The business owns you. And the bank owns you. Abilities. It changes your life. All your life will turn around the business and time at a specific time, the business might change it. For example, if you get into the hospitality business, the weekends or the nights. If you're in the consulting business, pre-pandemic and do business right now through Zoom and online, at that moment, you might have to spend a long time buying around in order to go to your clients. If you're in a business that's related to sales, time just making client calls. So the fact, it's not that a business necessarily gives you like business owns you, the business owns your life. Now, whether or not the business owns your life also depends on what kind of decision that you have to take before you start the business. So in summary, all the important decisions for before you even start. So, business should you start? There's a lot of literature around. You can look it up, and it will really depend on in what country you are, what your likes are, how much money you have. Eat like things that are for me must-haves. and should have. But I also want to say this one, that's really a must-have for me, is a business has to be easy to be understood, how you make money. For example, my rule of thumb is, explain it to me in a minute and I understand it, then that's not a business I want to be in. If I somebody in less than a minute of how somebody makes money, I also don't want to do it. So that's number, like a certain simplicity. Number one. Number two, there has to be a good profit margin. You, as I say, like before you even start a business, you're still free. You can put all your savings, the money, the investment that you do, but you also have all the time in your life that you're going to use. So you have to make sure that wherever you put it in should be something that makes a fair profit. Because I say, especially in business, money results in margins, then you have also like a very tiny margin for error. So number one, you have to, number two, you have to have a good profit margin. Number three, a must-have for a business for me to get into, there has to be a certain type of, put a few in there, location, patent, exclusivity, high entry cost. Let me explain to you. Location, example, you might be in a certain urban area and there's very little retail space available. To find a lease there and you put, like, for example, your store in there. Well, if there's any competition, if there's competition around and there's no more retail space available, somebody else cannot come in there. For example, Walgreens. Where's a Walgreens? Most likely on the other side of the street, CVS is going to put their store. They're competing to each other. Now, if you're going to build your business from scratch and you go like into a certain community, to some extent, it's hard for your competition to get in there, right? So you want to have to, your space somewhat protect product that you do. Or you might want to have exclusivity. For example, if you're selling like a certain service or a certain brand, you want to have the exclusivity for a market. Or maybe you want to go into a business that has a fairly high entry cost. If you have a high entry cost, it makes you a competition. So these are like must-have for me. Now, should-haves business are, I personally like a business that doesn't require a too specialized workforce. Why? We can replace them. I can break the work down. It's to some extent like easier than to grow the business. If you have something very special, a training business, for me, it's really hard to train and develop people who have exactly like the same level that I do. For that, the end will depend on myself, right? So more common qualification, it's easier for me to hire and to grow the business. And instead of working in the business, then I can work on the it's always good to think about stable and essential needs of your customer. For example, if there's a recession, people schooling, they still need groceries, they still need medical care, versus certain luxury items. Me, for example, stable essential needs, that's something preferable. Light assets, which means that are not so capital intensive. That might be automized, paper. I can outsource certain parts of the value chain, which are scalable and which have a recurrent revenue. Recurrent revenue model, you build them every month versus I have to go out every day and find a new client. All right, thing for anybody who wants to start a business are to figure out which are your must-haves, and I think they should be pretty much universal in business. And this gives you some kind of way in which you can, what business opportunities are for you. Why? Because there's a lot of opportunities. But as I put, often the best business is the one you do not make because you only can spend your money once. So of criteria, the must-haves and should-haves give you a way in which you can discard very quick opportunities for you. Let's go to the next slide. Now, how you can choose a business model. I would say all the businesses that are around your chain, right? It's like a process in which, depending on the business we're talking about, you have inputs, maybe a vendor, maybe you have to produce something. You have a purchasing department, maybe. You have marketing, sales, you have client, you have after sales. All of the business, they have like a certain way in which you, so that's one. So when you have a business idea, that's pretty much how you should salami the whole business opportunity. That's one. However, the second part is superimpose certain constraints. What are the constraints? Well, right? I can think about like a beautiful business, but maybe I don't have the money for it. Do you have? These are like the constraints which you have to toggle against your business idea. I think to figure out what you need, you have to look at go together. The first one is you might have an idea for on an innovation of an existing business. For example, something that you can do quicker, faster, cheaper, with higher quality, or you have like an innovation of an existing recipe, an innovation of a service or a restaurant. This is like your idea based upon something new thing. Or maybe you actually want to take like a proven business idea and put it in the market. For example, in your home country, you have seen like a certain way in like a certain do really well. There's like a new growth center, like a new city is growing. And you say like, well, that's like a proven concept. Let me put like a pharmacy there. It's a new business. You can use that. So, but these are the constraints. You have a new idea, you have an innovation, you have a proven business. And experience is important first, because if you don't have experience, you might learn by losing your own money. Plus the best experience. Second, how much money do you have, or can you access money? And the most important constraint is what I call like your lifestyle. In a business, you might not only gain money or lose money, time. When you start a new business, you make basically a commitment to put all your effort, all your time, actually even your family, for often like several years or maybe decades. So does this align with your purpose in life? Would you say like, oh, I should have done something different with that? So that's something that's like a constraint, because certain work in hospitality, or I don't want to work in something which my kids will not be proud of that I'm working in which you might weed out. So when you talk about business model, the second step is business models, what it fit into. Is it something where I need a lot of capital invest, or is it something that I can basically outsource through the cloud? So third-party providers. Do I need a brick and mortar store, or can I do everything online, or maybe it's a hybrid? Is it all advertising money? Do I do it just locally in a very reduced market, regionally, national service? Manufacturing, is it subscription based? These are the second things that I have to toggle with and play around. And then I basically have like 3 options. I can start a business from scratch, whatever kind of focused I want to have it. Small, medium sized, big in my market. I might buy an existing business, or I might buy a franchise. If I buy a franchise, but I still have to do my homework. I have to find like a location and a demographic, do the market research to make sure is that I buy the franchise and put it in. So it's still, but depending on what my lifestyle is, what my finance is, these are the constraints of what I have to do. Would ask, okay, how can I make my business successful? Financial numbers, objectives, that's very important. And I don't want to bore you. Goals. Sure, all the goals that you put, they have to be smart, measurable, achieve, relevant, they have to be time-based. Okay, you can look that up on the internet. I would recommend you get into launching a business to first do your business plan. And the business plan, you don't only do it once, you update it continuously based on it. You need a pre-launch checklist. Why? Because especially at the beginning, you can make a lot that you need for the launch. You might lose a lot of money. So you have to have your checklist. Launch. There's an action plan also to make sure that everything goes smooth. And that's a lot of micromanagement there, because break-even point, you have to make sure is that everything goes step by step and everybody's aligned. The financial plan to look at the numbers, and KPIs, key performance indicators for departments and employees. Out of there, I think all of those are important. The important thing is like conceptually to keep in mind that what we want to do is we want to future strategic objectives, what we want to get out of our business, but we have to link it back day by day, minute by minute in order to get to that goal. And therefore, as the situation, update my strategic plan, or I have to change whatever I'm doing right now. The second question that I have to is the why. What for? Why is it beneficial? Well, it's first of all like a communication tool, and then my team aligned, and to get buy-in from everybody. Most of all, those things you have to do it to some extent, but everybody can do like the third thing that I wrote here. You need 3 key indicators that focus all your effort. In one of my schools, actually in both schools, I have like 2 key indicators, actually 3 numbers for each classroom. The second one is, what's the weekly billing? The third one is, how much money get we owed? Because we get paid every week, but we don't in a week. So everybody in the school can at least focus on 3 numbers. What's the enrollment? What's our weekly tuition, our billing? That keeps everybody focused. Now those 3 numbers, and they connect to the strategic plan, they connect to the marketing plan, they connect to the KPI. However, to keep it simple, focus on 3 numbers. Every business needs those. All right, finally, talk today at all the different business plan models that are out there. And I found a little acronym for what I basically do. I think more than you can work out your long business plan, actually, what is good enough at the initial stage when you want to from the bad opportunities is to have like a small, tiny 1 minute, not 1 minute, but maybe one kind of separation between what is good and what is bad. And the acronyms are like the must elements of a business plan that are very critical for me. And but you have to make sure that you think about each of those letters. Number 1 for your business plan, money-making model of what you want to achieve. Try to draw it, really figure it out. What is the product? Basically produce it. What is the price for what I can sell? What's the value? What is in for the customer? How am I different from other providers, right? Passionate about, but what is the money-making model? How do I make money? The customer. The second one, how unique is it? Is it different? How is it faster? How is it better? How is it maybe cheaper? In what way is the value chain? Or maybe it's just unique in the market that we're looking at. Shopper, it's basically client or customer. Think about some product, some business model might be great in New York, but it might not work in the Dominican Republic. Why? Because maybe the digital tastes are different. So think about the customer and the demographics. Achieve. Does it actually work? Then you have to look at the competition, what is out there, and even how hard other companies to compete with you in the future. Are you really protected? Is it you don't have to fear about anybody else? The first one is what we have talked about is how meaningful is the project for you? How much does it have purpose? How well can you combine it with your family? Will you be proud of the business that you're doing 20 years from now? Maybe a year you're still going to be passionate about. How about if things go tough? Would you actually doing it if the market is so big? And then we come to the final one, the exit. Don't start a business if you have never thought about how you can get out of. Some businesses, they basically go away. They're so reliant on the person that does the business. Some other businesses, they need a lot of capital. And where can I sell the business? Or maybe if I take like a big loan, I might sell the business, but maybe I'm still personally responsible for the business if I want to, if I change my mind. So don't get into a business without thinking, well, how can I get out? Will it be more valuable for me to sell it? Or am I just basically working for the money that I earn every day, every road? So as a summary, I would say but if you don't do your homework before you start a business, it might be also something that might be your homework before. Right now, today, it has never been as easy to start a business than today. I remember my first in the Dominican Republic. At that time, things were very hard. We had to have our own electricity generator, security guard. We needed somebody to deliver our mail. Nothing really worked there. Nowadays, besides having all those services very easily available, there's a lot of chain of how you create value for your customer that you can basically outsource to other parts. So getting into the niche where you are unique and create real value is, but the other things still are true. You only have one life. Each hour can also spend every dollar that you have earned in your life one time. So you have to be very clear about, I don't want to waste my money and I don't want to waste my time.
Well, in this part, we are going to talk about why is digital marketing so important to your business. The answer to this question can be found just by looking around you. How many electronic devices can you see? The chances are that you are listening to this conference on a laptop or mobile, and there are probably a few other devices that you can connect to the internet within easy reach. Think of how you consume information yourself, and even how you share information with colleagues, friends, and family. Being online and being connected has transformed the way we buy things, the way we find out about events, and it can even influence the way we vote. Being readily online at almost any time is one of the reasons digital marketing has transformed how businesses promote and market their product and service. I believe digital marketing has 4 key advantages over the traditional way of marketing. Measurability, affordability, speed, and engagement. Well, the first point, measurability. For example, a website is arguably the single most important marketing tools and is an insight into what people are interested and how they find your website and move around it. How many people have visited your site? Where are they coming from? Natural search, through pay-per-click, social media, or email campaigns. You can monitor the change in your figures over time, giving you real information about whether your marketing message is getting through to the right people. Let us talk about affordability. Digital marketing has opened up the arena of marketing to smaller and medium-sized firms the world over, putting them onto a level playing field with bigger corporates through its affordability. For example, Facebook advertising through ad campaign tools such as Boost Post. These cost a fraction of the cost of printing leaflets and can be directed at a specific group of people. For example, here in Latin America, I have worked for more than 15 years in the automotive industry. It's very common that we design this specific group of people that we know they are going to buy a car. At the same time, you get much greater reach with a wider audience that potentially spans the entire world. And list paper goes to left field to boot. Similarly, online banner adverts on websites generally cost less than adverts placed in more traditional outlets like daily newspaper or magazine. With the data that is generated by these online advertising techniques, you also get feedback on how efficient your ad spend was too. No, this is amazing. Speed. This is the third point, speed. You can also get your message out there quicker in the virtual world. A simple click of a mouse button is all that is needed when compared to the much longer process of getting printed, materials produced and distributed. It means that company can be much more agile with their messaging. Twitter posts or website updates take a few minutes compared to days for the development and printing of a flyer. An e-newsletter can be written and controlled when it gets sent out, and you can monitor who has opened it. Whereas an advert can take a week to place in a newspaper, and you never quite know how many people have seen it. And the last point, engagement. Digital marketing brings a dynamic edge to how you promote yourself in a fast-paced world. One of the biggest reasons digital marketing has become so important is the engagement it brings. You can converse with your prospective and current customers, answer questions, and resolve issues. You can also interact with a wider audience, meaning you can do more than just sell. You can seek opinions and carry out market research to better inform your decision-making. You can also seek out collaborations or campaign for subcontractors or the professional opinions of your peers on project work too. By getting your audience to share the page, you can increase your profile and receive their endorsement in the process. Engagement can be achieved via other avenues too, such as competitions, blogs, PR events, and other marketing activities. Using real-time online marketing, you can comment on issues and update or inform your customer immediately after significant events that may impact the sector you and your customer operate. You can also quickly match or better competitors' offers with your own, keeping you at the sharp end of the marketplace. So digital marketing is more than important to your business. Today, it's indispensable. Another subject that I would like to analyze in this conference is how to make the most of your Facebook page. You know, a Facebook page is a good way to promote your business, especially if your customers are consumers or you have a venue that members of the public can visit. Not only will it help online users to find you and learn a bit more about what you do, but it will also boost your SEO if you link your Facebook post to your website. You can interact with people who liked your page and message them directly, create events, discussions group, and promote products, service, and offers. First of all, keep your page up to date. Your Facebook business page is part of the online profile of your company. Make sure your website address and phone number appears, and that your primary sales message or mission are clearly laid out. I recommend that you to post out regularly in order to keep your audience interested. A post with an image is always more eye-catching than one without, and statistical studies have shown that posts with image entice more engagement and feedback from the social audience, making it a smart thing to do. In order to make your time management a bit easier, we would recommend you write at least a week's worth of posts in advance and schedule them on your page so that you don't have to sit there and think of something to say every day, interrupting what you normally would be doing with your time. It's possible to schedule posts within Facebook. Just select the schedule option in the drop-down menu next to the publish button to select a time and a date for publish. If you are posting a couple of posts a day, you will find that you can easily schedule a week or two's worth of posts in an hour. Interacting with customers on Facebook. You should always check if you have messages or comments that need a reply.